Peace, everybody. Welcome to the first episode and installation of Art for Evolution podcast. We are very excited to bring you this platform. This platform will serve as a voice to the visual arts community. It will also serve as a platform for news and arts, culture, and interviews. I'm here today with a very, very special guest. This is the first guest to the show. I'm very happy to have him here. He's a good friend of mine. We're NIU alumni, proud Huskies. And this guy, he's a God-taught artist. So I love that. We're gonna start with that. He likes to depict, beautiful images of our people and our culture. And I felt it was very important that we start with him today. He has a show coming up, first solo show exhibition. So this is the man, the legend, Mr. Felix Barnes. He goes as Creations by FB now, correct?
Creations by FB, yeah.
Okay.
Used to be different strokes.
Right, okay.
Came a long way, but it's all love, and yeah, truly appreciate you for having me, man.
No doubt, man.
Totally humble and honored.
Definitely, man. Thank you for stepping on the show, stepping on the platform. Me and him are good friends, so we talk about these type of things all the time. So we got some good stuff. We got a good episode.
Art is life.
Definitely. So, I just want to start kind of with, just so people can understand your viewpoint.
Without a doubt.
What inspired you to be an artist?
Mainly it was just inspiration and influence by seeing the expression of others in the art form. It always just touched me in a certain way. And growing up, I always was a huge fan of just images in the sense of how they play a big picture of expressing a meaning without words. So with the love of that and just growing up, I always was drawn. You watch cartoons and you draw here and there. Just following after my brother, I picked up the art and craft. And as I was growing older, there's an artist named Felix Barnes, and his painting was all over my elementary school walls, and it was just so inspiring as I was going to like class and etc. I would always find myself just, becoming his paintings and the expression that he meant without it, dialoguing in any form of way. So with that inspiration through just seeing others and wanting to express myself, and the best way I felt myself expressing myself in a way that I allowed my mind to create, to allow others to view in their own way as well was through the form of art, and it was just kind of like a first love for me. So just full circle came about that and just took it as a passion, and I see it as a purpose, in my life. So just continue to apply it in any way, shape, or form. So.
Okay, so when did you start?
So I've been drawing since I was 8.
Okay.
So picked that up after my brother. Now I was drawing pretty much up until like high school. Then I pretty much diverged into sports and other stuff that took me away from it for a little bit. But going back to college, I picked it back up a little bit as far as like drawing. But I've always had like the love to want to paint or just to express myself in that form. But just too many distractions throughout my life that took me away from it when I was younger. Then as I came into school and pretty much decided to do the business side of things when I was at school, got that out the way to learn business to apply to art in the long term. Right after college in 2014 is when I really started painting or picking up the brush to teach myself how to paint. And over time, that expression just grew big to what it is now. So when I started back then, I didn't think that, I never seen myself as selling my work or being able to put together shows that will impact others. So over time, I started in 2014 and I just never dropped the brush since then, man.
Okay, so, we talked offline about how you used to do the custom Greek paddles and stuff like that in college just to make money.
Oh yeah.
So did that start the bug,
Yeah, without a doubt. And that was my first form of selling my work.
Yeah.
So it was at a time once I left campus and I was on campus still to get credit hours for a certification that I was studying for. So during that time, I didn't have a job because they don't allow you to work when you graduate.
Right.
So I'm like, I gotta make money, some form of fashion. So I see a lot of people attracted to my work. And I'm a Lake Psi Phi fraternity incorporated, so I've always been in that Greek realm, and I see the love that people have for their Greek work. So that inspired me to create Greek work for, my peers and others. Then once a lot of people seen that I was doing it for my peers, some of my frat brothers and, other Greek organizations, it created a buzz and it hit me like, okay, I can start selling this now. So started there, then was able to kind of like pay a semester of rent with that. So it was just a great start for me. Then I just kept them on.
So how much would you say you were bringing in if you was able to pay rent with it? That's
on college campus, right? It's not too high when you're sharing it with
That's
people.
True.
So I was probably paying about $350 a month on rent, and then just had all their expenses.
That's a pretty good side hustle.
Oh man, I was grinding it out.
We also want to educate the viewers. If anybody's thinking about opportunities to make money, this is something he was doing in college. Nice side hustle, was able to pay rent.
It was a blessing in disguise.
Applying your talent as a service.
Absolutely.
And positioning that to as a product and being able to sustain yourself as an artist. So
Without doubt.
That's dope. So your name was Different Strokes. Why did you change it from Different Strokes?
So it was very tough letting Different Strokes go, man, as we've had conversations about it. Because that was a name that kind of, just came naturally for my work. And I always wanted to express different meanings of my work, so that's where that Different Strokes came about. It was kind of like a no limitation type of thing for me. But coming into it, it just kind of like expanding in the art world and in my art market and trying to be more original in a sense and diversify myself from like other markets or people that had that name. So just doing research, I seen a lot of people utilizing like Different Strokes in the art realm, and in the long term, I wanted to kind of like have that brand, whatever I decided to stick with. So after coming up about that research and finding out that it's just a conflict of that name being used. I decided like I had to be more original, so I just kind of like took a name behind my personal name, just to expose myself a bit. Then in the long term, I plan to convert over to Infinite Art Studios in the long term. But Infinite Art is something that's always lived with me, and as you've seen in my artwork, you always see like an infinite symbol, and I can dive more into like what that means to me.
So what is that symbolic of in your work?
So it's pretty much limitless. Like I feel like that every human being, God has blessed us with the ability to create our life, and we only set our own limits, so we can do whatever we kind of like desire to do. And I feel like that's what the infinite sign represents in a sense. It's like no bounds. Whatever you want to do, think it, believe in it, take the actions towards it, and so it'll be. So like that's kind of like the big inspiration behind that symbol, and that's the mindset that I've developed over the years, and it's growing like I could be whatever I put in my mind. I just gotta act towards it. You know what I mean?
I think that to me that's like something I'm personally inspired by. The fact that artists, through our practice, we create something.
Without a doubt.
And if we can apply that, outside of the canvas, just to our lives, that's power.
Full circle.
And that's what everyone has within them, regardless if they're a painter or some type of artist in that sense.
Absolutely.
You use your imagination and you create your life. And I think that artists are here to show people or remind people of their ability to do that.
Without a doubt.
Yeah,
that's why I always tag some of my work like manifested thoughts.
Because
it's truly like when you create work, and I know you know yourself as a creative, it's like it all starts in the mind. Then when you start producing it, like more thoughts come that help you form it along the way. But at the end of the day, it all started in that foundation of what you thought. So,
the ethos.
Man, it's powerful, bro.
It's powerful, man. We could go on and on. So I definitely wanted to ask you, I noticed that you represent a lot of African heritage, specifically in your work.
Absolutely.
And that's beautiful. Why do you think that's important to make sure that you get that in there?
It's very important to represent my people. I was born in Ghana, so I have a love and a connection to Africa. From that, and that being my foundation and my upbringing before I moved over to the States with my family. So that's always inspiration. It's just, that was my foundation. So representing that in my work was always important to me. To express self, but at the same time, while expressing self, I'm expressing others as in my people and our people, and showing the beauty in us, displaying a positive light of our people. It's something that hasn't been done tremendously, like a lot over time. So I want to increase the exposure in that as much as I can. And I feel like my art form is kind of like a platform.
We're in the library, y'all can hear that.
Without a doubt.
Keep the show going.
Yeah, I felt like my art was just like that platform to express the beauty in our people and just the pride we should take in us and how great we are. So that I can express that. And you'll see I express the black woman a lot in my work too. Just out of that respect and empowering them because they truly like form our lives in so many ways. So it's just expressing what I believe in and what I think could empower us as a whole, just for the greater good.
Yeah, I see. You have the Black Panther, Wakanda joint on there. That was like a hit. That was like a smash.
That was one of probably like for my favorite piece. Because it took a lot of work. But the inspiration that I got from the movie, of course, but that's why I never called it like Black Panther. I named it BP because I wanted to express Black Panther, Black Power, Black people. That's why I had those symbols in it as well. Because when that movie came out, you see how our people were like coming together and the energy was real.
Never seen it like
real. Yeah. So that just carried along within the work, and I just wanted to promote that expression because I felt that energy around that time, and it just influenced me to do that work. And the energy carried into the work because by far that's one of my greatest pieces that I think I've done so far. So.
Now, some of your influences. I know earlier you mentioned some of them.
Absolutely. So in the art world, Felix Barnes is one. Ironically, that's my last name, so it's crazy. He's definitely one that inspired me, but I have a lot, man. Max in the same.
Chicago.
Yeah.
Shout him out.
Man, it's Hebrew, That's a big influence of mine. Chuck Styles, he's a Philadelphia artist. I follow him a lot, and I see a lot of, I gain a lot from his work. BK the artist, Tim Okamura, there's so many, man. So
dope.
Yeah, those are a lot of influences in the art world for me, but a lot of the figures as far as like the black people that came about, like the Muhammad Ali's, and I gained a lot of inspiration just through seeing greatness itself. And I could always go back and say my mom and etc. But yeah, it's just all up. I gained inspiration through people as a whole, and my people in general because I could connect with what they go through. But that's from the art sense and like overall.
Okay, I like that. As someone that I see that depicts black people and the black experience and the black existence in a very positive light. How do you feel about typically in the art world when you're in these like higher echelon spaces such as, your galleries and your museums specifically? We typically see our people, black people represented. The pieces tend to be about oppression or poverty. All of these things that, we go through and have been through. But why is it that these are the central themes that we always see, in those higher echelon spaces? And, how do you feel about that?
Man, it's tough to speak on the exact reasons for it, but I don't know, it's a lot with just media in general that promotes negativity because that's fed on a lot more, and that, it expresses a lot more emotion in some sense. I don't know if that's their rationale for doing it, but at the same time, I'm not a huge fan of it because the light or the energy is carrying out to the viewer, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
When we see those type of things, we're not uplifted in spirit. We're not thinking positive about it in some sense, or we either in anger or sorrow or whatever the case is. So that affects the mindset of my eyes. So I don't know if that's a rationale for what they're doing, but at the end of the day, I like to see it in a positive light, and nothing against that, because we do have to have that education of where we came from at the end of the day, but we should have a balance in the expression of the negative sides as well as the greatness that's came about too. So
yeah, I mean, it's like, are the people in charge, do they only want to see that expression of us?
we don't even know who's in charge that's making these decisions.
That's true, but for the most part, in those spaces, you know, the people that look like us aren't in leadership.
Exactly.
They're not the curators of the shows. And, you know, I often question that when I go into spaces. I was in the Art Institute, you know, a few weeks ago. It's like some of the only black art I could find, especially like, you know, Renaissance era. It was like this slave, it was like this one painting of this like black, she wasn't a slave, she was like, what do you call, like a servant or something like that. Right. And it's just like, in those spaces, it seems like they only want that side of the black experience, because that's considered art. Or to even make it to those spaces, your subject matter has to be about oppression, and, you know, all of these, the more negative sides of our experience. I guess it's more emotional. But when does, you know, black oppression stop becoming the peak of, you know, black entertainment?
Absolutely.
You know?
I think it starts with us, man. Because although they're putting that content out, we could compact that with what we continue to put out and what we continue to grow as our people. And not, I mean, I believe in equality at the end of the day, but at the same time, we should empower ourselves to build our own museums to display these type of, you know what I mean,
talk about
this content, man. Because we can't put what they decided to do with their museum, or I don't see the form, and I feel like focusing on that takes us away from doing what we want to do or what we want to see comes to life. So I take it, or I use that as motivation to continue to create more positive work, but at the same time to promote to the people that want to see that happen. It's like, let's take that power we have within ourselves to make that happen, or to shed that light, you know what I mean, in these places, and interact with these museums as well, and trying to get our work in there to express something more that, you know what I mean, that could give the larger audience more than just that oppression. So I think it starts with us, and then at the end of the day, just like with anything, we are the change we want to see. So we have to continue to be that, and the more we allow them to kind of like direct, that's what it's going to be shown. So we see that's happening over time, so let us change it.
Yeah, you know, we need more black curators. We need more people with the understanding that these images, you know, that these are powerful, and we need to change that. We need to change the narrative. You know,
and it also goes to the subconscious mind. So people never know they're trying to impact that in that way.
Exactly. Like, you know, art is the only thing that speaks directly to the subconscious. Like, you know, it puts you in that realm. And it's an experience that, you know, we need to curate the change we want to see.
Absolutely.
So, you know, as creators, we need to put more things that we want to actually see, and not just reflect on. You know, so that's good. We're good on the camera. Okay. So let's get into your show. The world belongs to creators. You know, we kind of talked about it a little bit earlier, but, you know, what does this title mean to you? To me, when I saw that, I was like, oh, Felix is ready. He is ready.
This one is an idea I've had for a long time, man. And it came over the thought process with some of like the concepts that I spoke about throughout. It's just, I came to that understanding of my growth, like throughout the past years of my life and throughout my creative stages of my life, that everything truly does start with our minds. And the world truly do belongs to those that create, not the entire world in that magnitude, in a sense, because God created the world, but He also gave us the ability to create our own worlds. So that was kind of like the power that, you know, that was the inspiration that influenced me to name the show that, but that's the content that I want to push out to empower people that come see the work. It's just like, man, what you believe in. Belief in itself is very powerful.
Yeah.
We take it for granted. What we think on a daily basis is very powerful. What we allow ourselves to speak of ourselves is very powerful.
Very so.
And we are creating our lives every day with our thoughts, with our habits, with our actions. So the world truly belongs to those who create it with intention, you know what I mean? But you have to be intentional about it. You set that goal in your mind and you create that in your life.
Right.
Everything that you've done came from the mind or it came from a creator. And in the larger sense of that concept, so I wanted to give respect to those who have created and impacted the world largely, like the people, the light bulb makers, you know what I mean? The adventures that we've had historically over time is so powerful. And all these creations do empower life or do impact the world. So just holistically, that's what.
And what something that just stood out when you was talking, those who don't create their own reality will have it created for them.
Yes,
by someone who is aware
absolutely
that they are God. So I think what your message is very important because it's like, the most important thing that we can do to empower ourselves is realize our creative abilities.
Absolutely.
The ability that we have to create whatever reality we want to experience.
Without a doubt. The imagination is huge, man.
Yeah.
And that's one thing they always speak about as for youthful people, like kids should imagine, but
right.
As adults, we should still be imagining or have that dream big type of concept and allow ourselves to believe that we can make that happen. And whatever you put your mind to could come to pass, you focus on it long enough. So.
Yeah, that's important. Like my work is towards adults. I feel that there's a lot of things for kids and stuff like that, but we need to never lose that sense of just love for life.
Absolutely.
We can do it. We can create. I mean, we are doing it, but it doesn't have to be a mundane task.
Exactly.
Kids don't get to have all the fun.
Man, you should have the fun that you desire to have, period, and whatever you see that to be, just create that atmosphere to make that happen, and so it will be.
Definitely. Yeah. So what do we have to look forward to in the show?
Man, a lot of inspiring pieces, and I want people to walk away with that self-love concept or that self-empowered concept. I want people to not only come and celebrate because it's the first show and just to pretty much inspire deeply because I don't see myself as a motivational speaker, but I'm like a motivational artist in some sense. So I want to inspire the kids that come out or the people that come out when they see my work to take that within and for self. Because when I create, I'm speaking to myself, but I know when I speak to myself, that's also empowering others because we can't teach others without teaching ourselves. We can't love others without loving ourselves. So if people could walk away with that self-love or with that energy that's going to be within the room that I so look forward to, it's going to be amazing. So
dope. Give the details. Where is it? When is it? How can people be a part of it?
Absolutely. It's November 23rd at Legendary Art Gallery from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. Feel free to come out. My page is Creations by FB on Instagram. You'll see the flyer details linked to the RSVP there. You can also find that event on Eventbrite, The World Belongs to Creators, by myself. RSVP, come out, come enjoy the show. Free admission, just come by, donate if you can, because this was an independent event that I kind of like sponsored.
Talk about it. I want to get into that, what it takes to put on the show, because a lot of time people come through and they're enjoying it, but it takes a lot to put on the show. Can you speak to that?
Oh man, I'm in the midst of a storm right now,
right.
So it's an experience, but I learned to love the journey or the process of it. Because there are obstacles in just kind of like finding establishments to use.
Right.
Framing your work, making sure outside of just creating, you're marketing, you're going to meet with people, you're planning and coordinating. luckily I've had support from like, you know, me, my lady and a lot of my friends. So just over time, it's just like leaning in the community that you have, but at the same time, it's just like you have to put your head down and do it. And I've seen, it takes a lot, but like when you're in the moment and you start, like things come together over time.
Right.
So I've learned to not just like focus in on how overwhelming the task will be at times, but just taking or living in the moment of one thing at a time. And along that way, you will find people, the resources that come about. But it is very tough, like trying to do something independently. And I'm a big advocate for like group economics or group empowerment or teamwork. So whenever you can find sponsors or just kind of like work with a lot of people to even establish a solo exhibition, I say I empower that or I promote that. Instead of going at it at your own.
Definitely. Like you said, it's a lot to put together a show, a lot of elements that go into putting together a show.
Absolutely.
And you know, this is why, you know, people come out, the shows are typically free, but people get a concept that art is always free or should be free. But you gotta understand how much goes into it.
Absolutely.
You know, so it's important to support your artists, even, you know, if you can't afford to buy a piece, you know, support it some type of way. Artists put in a lot of work to make these shows happen.
Without a doubt, and monetary support is not the only support aspect.
Right, of course.
Exposure is big for artists, so if you could support it in that way, it's always huge.
Retweet,
Man.
or repost,
That goes a long way.
you know, comment, whatever.
Without a doubt.
Cool. So, you know, since it's the first episode, I do want to wrap up with our social media platforms. We are on Instagram at Art for Evolution Podcast, right? Art for Evolution Podcast. We're on YouTube as well. And we'll be covering events also. We'll be doing a lot of one-on-one artist interviews, but we'll be covering our events. And we also want this to be a platform for artists. If you guys have shows coming up, step on the platform and let people know, you know, the information, how they can get to the show. You know, right now there's this huge Hebrew Brantley pop-up experience going on. So he's been there. I still haven't been yet, but I'm definitely gonna go. And we're supporting everybody. I mean, we're definitely encouraging everybody in Chicago to check it out while it's still up. I think it's up to December. You can find that, you know, on Instagram, Hebrew Brantley page or something like that. I personally will be at Art Basel this year. Art Basel is like one of the biggest, you know, art
get there if you haven't been.
festivals probably on earth. And it's in Miami in December, so I will be there getting coverage for you guys. So there'll be a lot of video recaps for sure. You know, plan on meeting a lot of artists and, you know, just spreading platforms, spreading this thing out. As far as if you guys want to get in contact with us, our email is what is the email? artforevolutionpodcast@gmail.com. And yeah, this has been our first episode, so I'm very excited, man. Thank you for coming on the platform, bro.
Appreciate you, man.
Appreciate that.
Very honored and humbled, and man, wish you greatness in the platform.
Thanks, bro.
Continue to expose the word of art, man.
Appreciate that. Any words in closing?
Just be you. Tune in. Art is a great expression and a great form, and I feel like we are all creators and we should create the life we intend to create. So continue to be yourself, love yourself, and just be powerful, be great. That's all I got.
Big facts. Art for Evolution.